You're all this stuff. That one, jeez.
Well, then that's okay. That would be good.
You like this?
I love this.
Build something.
Well, see, don't cuddle it.
I want to keep it.
Be careful, don't cut yourself. Metal fat.
That's awesome.
Made those as the,
They did a pretty good job of these.
Those are
They're all,
awesome.
you can see they're all,
Hey, good evening, everybody. Dr. Wise, welcome. It's 6 o'clock, so let's get rolling. Where are we starting?
We're starting with our guest presentation. So we have some students here to present. National Technical Honor Society, we're going to turn it over to them.
Hello, my name is Isaac Glover. I'm a senior from McDowell High School. I'm in drafting design, and I'm the president of ECTS.
I'm Corinna Gachik. I go to Fort LaBeouf. I'm a senior. I go to computer programming, and I'm the vice president of service.
I'm Alexis Lanik. I am in the health assistant lab, and I am from Northeast High School. And my role is vice president of fundraising.
So for MTHS, there's a couple requirements to be accepted into the program. So first, you have to be a junior, senior in your second or third year. You have to have a GPA higher than 3.8, which is the top 95% of the school. Along with that, you have to have instructor recommendation, which will be based off of the 7 characteristics that are held by MTHS members, which on the board you can see there's honesty, responsibility, initiative, teamwork, leadership, citizenship, and scholarship. Along with that, you will be approved by the selection committee and the administration. And this year, we inducted 24 new members on November 1st into our Honor Society. And of these total of 47 between last year and this year, we have representation from all 11 districts and 15 of our career majors.
So this is some of the stuff that we've done this year and last year. So over the summer, we got to, the beginning of the year, we got to go on a boat tour on Presque Isle, learn more history about Erie, and it was fun. It was mainly just us new third years and becoming officers.
Every year, we also do a winter retreat. We usually go to the summit, and we'll do planning about what we want to do for upcoming events. We do team building activities where we'll get into groups and we'll play games with each other. We'll do like team bonding games, and we'll do teacher appreciation preparation. So the last time we went on it, we put candies into a bag and got cards for all of the staff members.
Last spring, we were able to do a bunch of community service. We cleaned up Presque Isle and Zip Park and Scott Park. We visited places like the Anna Shelter and Ears, and we dropped off donations. We were also able to buy flowers and gifts for the teachers.
We try our best to be involved with the community, which I would say we do a decent job. We do a lot of blood drives. A lot of students volunteer, and we are ambassadors for graduation and open house events. We rally our students to participate in school-wide events as Walk for Wishes. We get to dress up in costumes and we walk around and walk for wishes, and we raise money. And we promote school spirit and celebrate achievements across all of the career majors that we have here. And we do fundraisers to help with our operating costs as well.
So this year we were able to collect cereal and peanut butter for the food bank. We collected 203 pounds of food this year, and the winning left, because we had a fun little competition on who could bring in the most, was health assistance.
We also like to do a lot of fun things, so we try to do different contests that are with every season. So for Halloween, we usually do a pumpkin carving contest, and each lab donates $5 to be able to get a pumpkin, and then you can do whatever design that's associated with your lab, and then we have judges come in and judge them, and it's very fun.
For Christmas, we decided we were gonna do two things this year. Typically, we just do the door decorating contest, but this year we included gingerbread house making. So each lab got pieces to make a gingerbread house, and were able to decorate that along with their door, however they decided.
And every year, we do Valentine's Day candygrams, and we do flowers, so you can buy a couple flowers, some candy, you can send it to someone with a letter on there for them, so it's kind of like a brighten someone's day, just also to be involved.
Also, along with NTHS, there's other organizations within the school, one being Skills USA, where students go and compete at districts and then on the state level, and if they win district states, they can go to nationals. So our members are also, I believe all three of us are involved in Skills USA, where we compete in our different lab-related competitions. And as you can see, we had, I believe, 11 members participate in Skills. So overall, since its founding in 1984, nearly 1 million students have become NTHS alumni. NTHS honors the achievement of top career and tech ed students and provides close to $300,000 in scholarships annually. Overall, NTHS strives to help connect education and industry to build highly skilled workforce. And that is all we have for you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
What about questions?
Oh, sure.
I'm curious, do you find, are you guys involved in your National Honor Society back at your home district?
I am not.
I am not.
I'm in NHS at Fort LaBeouf. I don't have a specific role to be a member.
I'm just curious how many members, if it's possible to be involved in both, because I know it's fairly active, so you can.
Yeah.
Somewhere, okay.
Any other questions for these?
Do you recruit people for your organization? Is available to anyone who has a qualification?
So, I guess, one thing I didn't talk about was with our membership. So you have to meet the certain criteria, which was the top 95% of the class. And then if you meet those requirements, each teacher of the lab can pick 2 students to induct into NTHS.
Very select.
Yes.
Are all three of you, are you seniors?
Yes.
Future plans?
I want to go to Gannon for software engineering.
Nice.
I'm going to Penn State Barron for mechanical engineering technology.
I'm going to Edinburgh for a 4-year nursing program.
Nice. Congratulations.
All right. Next, we'll turn to the agenda and just, briefly run through the agenda if there's any questions, and then I'll give my board report. We'll go through the agenda. Any questions on the first couple sections?
They don't have to stay if they don't want to.
They definitely don't have to stay.
I'm sure they want to.
You totally want to
But,
stay.
they are NTHS people and they
High
have to
achievers.
service. And all that.
They could be sitting in our chairs someday.
Yes, you
Otherwise, you do not have to stay. That flower you can take home and, share with them. We get to section 8, operations. There's a few things on there. You have the MOU with the AHT over the confidential secretary that we talked about last month. We have the 24-25 ECTS calendar, which we discussed with the superintendent through a few meetings at length, talking about each schedule of each district's different. Some districts are taking a week off there and some are not. So, that's what was recommended by the superintendents. And we have the confidential secretary contract. since that's kind of new, we drafted that, put that together. I know Tim and I talked before the meeting, there's a few tweaks that he would like to make, so we're gonna approve that with the solicitors, making some edits to that contract. So approve that position, approve that contract, and there's just a couple more changes there. Next, we have our program expansion vote to look at expanding Cosmo to two teachers and health assistant. And so I have some notes in there of the funding to make that happen. If anybody has any questions there, I know we've had some pretty good discussions over the last 5 months over not Cosmo 2 to Cosmo 2 to not Cosmo 2 to Cosmo 2. And, I think we have a pretty good plan moving forward. We got some numbers from the electricians for the extra electric. We've got some numbers for the furniture. We're gonna be right in the $70,000 to $80,000 range for furniture. Like we said, we're hoping to be under 150 for the Cosmo part of it. Somewhere in the 150 to 200, and I'm confident that we're gonna be there. Our superintendents, we've had that subcommittee that's met every couple of weeks. We started out every week in December and then every couple of weeks since then to talk about the expansion and take a look at things. And I mean, it's been pretty glowing that, everyone's in favor at this point as far as that subcommittee of superintendents. We talked about it at our CLNA meeting on Friday. We held our CLNA, and I'll do that more in my board report. I'll hand out just a couple of data reports from that just to give you a picture of some things. I know Dennis was there and Sam was there. We talked about a lot of different data sets. It was a very productive meeting, went a little long, 2 hours, 45 minutes. But it also supported, the fact that we have so many other wait lists in those programs and industry need balance with student interest and so forth for expansion.
Of that meeting, we had how many legislators?
We had 3 legislators, Senator Laughlin, Representative Harkins, and Representative Murskill attended that meeting. And then Senator Laughlin had a staffer with him, who was a social media guy taking pictures and posting stuff. But it was pretty heavily attended, by the legislators. We were surprised we had that many come. So it was very nice to have them here. And they heard a lot of the career and tech ed initiatives statewide that we advocate for through PACTA, and Kevin Sprong, the director from Crawford, was here, and we were able to talk a little bit about some of those challenges of staffing and teacher training and so forth that we have with IUP and so forth. So it was pretty productive. And then we have
Mike's got a question there.
Go ahead.
One more feedback. So one of the questions that came from was construction trades also is got a significant wait list. And the question is that viable to expand into a 2-classroom set in its current structure? And would that be a consideration after this future?
Did you set him up?
I did not set him up to ask that question. Just for you. Mike, did I ask you? No.
No, that was a pretty healthy
not.
discussion after you left our meeting. We were really
Looking at
into
those numbers.
and we were thinking why, because you did say at one point it was 2 teacher lab, and then it went down to 1.
Yeah, when you look at high priority occupations, the big 3, there's a ton on the list, right? There's almost every industry listed in some way at this point, or most industries at this point. The construction, manufacturing, and health are kind of the big 3 in northwestern region of Pennsylvania, and southwestern region of Pennsylvania, and north central region of Pennsylvania. Those are the big 3, all 3 in all 3 of those areas. I didn't look at the rest of Pennsylvania in detail in my work as career readiness liaison at PPE with my previous job at the IU, but it's pretty heavy there. So that was a big part of the discussion. That was part of that being thoughtful and scale up, because when we add a program, we add 48 seats over 3 years. We had a second program, so we added EPS, and we're expanding health. That's an extra 48. Then we're expanding cost. That's an extra. So we're adding. It takes 3 years to ramp up, but we're adding. 144 seats over the next 3 years. Construction trades used to be a 2-teacher lab, has the space and room to make a 2-teacher play right away next year. But when working with the superintendents, a few of the smaller districts especially were like ramping up too fast, is too heavy of a lift on our local budgets, right? Because when you add in, 20 extra kids, maybe from Iroquois, Union City, Northwestern, Girard, those were kind of the superintendents that said, that's gonna be a $160,000 annual cost that we don't have in our budget, going forward. So that's why they held off on construction trades. If you noticed him prompting, pretty much it's a plug and play one. It's a hire a teacher, go 2 teachers next year, and we could ramp that up pretty fast. Now, mind you, these are our current numbers, and we're hot now, and we're scaling up in the skilled trades. 3 years ago, construction trades numbers didn't look like that, so that was one of the factors. Is last year even it didn't look at that strong. So we're looking like, okay, let's have that one. Let's see if we can get a couple years of data of that really strong, where health has had a wait list, 30, 40 kids every single year. That's why we did STS, right? And Cosmo has had a wait list every single year, you know what I mean? We've talked about that for a couple of years, you guys have, so.
I think the other thing that would be helpful is you do this, and look at Jessica. Economies of scale, right? As the programs get larger, the operational overhead of the school from an administrative standpoint doesn't change. We're only changing teacher per student, so it's not going to be the same exact number that every student equals this, because there is a static number that's not going to change. And the more students that come in here, theoretically, the cost per student should come down to some degree.
It should, absolutely.
So we may want to look at what that truly means, because a lot of people are fearing a number, but it might not be the real number.
You're absolutely correct, because there also is a state reimbursement per kid in CTE, which is going up. And so when you add that, say, $8,000 is our current tuition, like $8,100. When you add that 20 students, it says it's 160, but there is a revenue side that comes with that, which is it only 5,600? So I agree completely, but there's a lot of stakeholders, and
obviously not all at once, but I think as the school is deliberate and transparent in where they want to go, because clearly technical education is growing right now. It is in high demand. The school was renovated to seat that many students. It would be shameful to underpopulate a large school.
And we did have that gentleman who came, 4 months ago, that talked to us about the, this particular program. And I did do some research on that, and he was not wrong when he said that for every 50 people who retire, only 3 people are there to replace them. That is really low. That's why the trades are not doing as well as they, right? You're paying so much for everybody to come and do construction on your house.
So the good thing is, Mike, it's on the radar.
It is.
And again, I think you need at least one more year of strong.
We were not advocating to make the move now, but that was the lunch shed, that was
Yeah, that's
a hot
Metal
metal topic.
Fab's in the same boat.
Metal Fab, we need some infrastructure change to expand the
Right.
Metal Fab.
Well, you got the same thing too,
Yeah.
sports medicine's the same thing too.
And that's a new program that, it's only in the second year, and you're gonna turn 30 kids away there too next year. So it's good problems to have, and we wanna be thoughtful and intentional about this growth. We had a really, really good conversation at the superintendent level. It was our December meeting, where we shared the vision of this. Everyone got a chance to share, and everybody really was rallying in the same direction. And I did that intentionally because, in my mind, I'm taking over the directors of school. They've added spaces, and I want to fill those spaces with program, because you invested $34 million, and we have those 2 new spaces to host programs. So I'm thinking I want to add it, but then some of the feedback was, well, we're not quite ready for some of these decisions to expand, and so that's why we tailored back on construction trades, and well as filling the second unfilled space that we added through construction.
Matt,
So-
you're telling the superintendents, you're telling you don't ramp up too fast.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
my concern is that all of us representing districts want our kids to come here, the right kids to come here, learn the right things, do good jobs. We want this to go and succeed. Until we're ready to talk money, and maybe better not too many went, because it costs the bucks to come here instead of down there. There's a certain hypocrisy. If now's the time to strike, you may miss it. I mean, I'm not opposed to the notion that this issue, let's just keep things the way they are, pretty much.
We're definitely not doing that, I
I know
can
that.
tell you that. We're definitely not doing that, but, again, and the superintendents are a stakeholder, it's an advisory committee to this, organization. You guys are the joint operating committee, and have a decision power-making role,
If you had four other superintendents there, might you have gotten a different response?
Absolutely. I mean, there were 9 of them at the meeting, there was 2 online, there was 1 absent, I guess, and 1 had to leave early, so. You were at the meeting.
Yeah, I can certainly provide some feedback, I guess that's part of my role here. I think one of the things is that all of us have the same goals in mind as Matt's describing here. We want to bring our children here, we want them to succeed, we want the programs to expand. And all the conversations that Matt is sharing with you are absolutely true. We do have an interest in expanding construction trades here. What's happening is that each of the superintendents in that room, back at their districts, have their own share of financial considerations that they need to make. And keep in mind, all of us are fresh off of a recent bond issue here to fund this project, and that has different implications for each of us sitting in this room. So going back, we're already looking at 2 programs out of the gate next year, and then considering another one next year is not off the table. Everybody in that room is interested in doing that. So I think under Matt's leadership, preparing ourselves for a strategic approach over the next couple of years is exactly what we want to commit to and what we intend to bring to you guys in the next couple of years to approve. So I think you're exactly right. The opportunity is now, particularly you can see the Pennsylvania Department of Education and our legislators are committing themselves to growth in CTE, and they're putting money and dollars to that, and we need to take advantage of that. And I think what Matt's proposing and what superintendents are hearing from him is what we want to pursue over the next couple of years. So it's an exciting time.
Is there grant money that we can be applying for that we're not seeing right now, that we just have that because you're busy, I get that. So maybe looking at grant money is not the top of the priority, but maybe something that we need to look at in the next year or so.
I smile when I look at my administrator, so I'm gonna turn to you guys and let you guys answer that question about grant money.
Yeah, we've applied for basically every open grant since Matt's been here. Whether it's a safety grant or whatever else.
Agriculture grant.
Agricultures and stuff like that, we're gonna be doing other projects with all of that. But yeah, and it's everything that basically comes across his desk. If it applies somehow here, he applies for it.
Terry, I think financially, what we're talking about with the districts is operating revenue.
I understand that.
So much for every student that comes here. It's just that when you're, basically every lab, we're gonna get four seats is what you're getting. So that's not a lot, but now you're bringing in 3. Next year, you have 3, additional 3. So potentially you have, 12 new people. If you just add another one, then again, it's good to, let's scale it.
Right, and that's where I think you really need to put what it actually is going to cost as you scale the school to 1,000 students, as you scale the school to 1,100 students with the program. Because this cost per seat is going to change because your economy of scale of what you're.
It's going up and it's really
So
driving.
you're gonna, I think that everyone they think that the price is gonna be static, and you could make it static, so that might not be legitimately true, but you're gonna see some benefit. The smaller the school, the less efficient the school's operating for every dollar, as opposed to the closer we're to capacity, the more efficiency per dollar per student. And I think you're gonna find that there's a cross section to hit that right place.
This is an awesome discussion. This is what Rick just said to me, and I agree completely. So what you're gonna see right now, our tuition rate is based off our budget from this year. With our enrollment numbers from 19, 20, 21, 2021 and 21-22 is the 3-year averaging. Because we built this budget in the fall of 22, right? I got that right? Yeah. You build it kind of in the fall and over the winter of 22-23. That's the numbers we had as solid numbers of attendance, right? And so that 3-year averaging, I might as well just pass out my data sheet here. That 3-year averaging is a lot lower than what we have right now with 800 and some odd students this year, 780 last year, not in the mix. So these are just a couple of the exhibits from our, which he already has them, from our CLNA that I was just going to hand out. We collected the data. I'm not going to share with the 17 data sets that we went through on Friday. Everybody got two-sided? I just noticed it. Everybody got two-sided? So what you have on the, we're going to start with the green side that has all the yellow. You have our enrollment numbers basically for the last 5 years, right? So 19-20 all the way up to 23-24. And you can see there, male-female population, the yellow is our non-traditional students. And so that's the yellow going across, and then the orange is the percentage of non-traditional students on the far right. So you can see we were 698, 652, now these are including the TRC, so they're not counted in the career and tech ed side of things, but they're part on our campus. 698, 652, 698, 799, and 859. So you can see that growth, and those 799, 859 are not in the numbers for the last 2 years. We have growth in our non-traditional students going from 11% in 1920 to 14% right now. The bottom is the civil rights trends, and you can see that it's not big, but our minority numbers are growing 3, 4, 5% down there at the bottom in the last 3 years. And so you're completely right, Mike. When you look at that economy of scale, more students divided across that budget. When we present the budget next month, you know, we've been talking about it. We don't have it together yet. We've been talking about how we're going to present the budget if we were status quo with a percentage increase. And then we're going to put our new programs, so our 3 double up, the 2 double ups of Cosmo and Health, and the extra program EPS on the side. So we're going to kind of present it that way where it's, hey, here's where we are this year. Here's the percentage increase on the status quo. And then here's the pot of money that is going to be for ramping up 3 programs. So when you look at our budget growth from this year to next year, it's going to be like, I don't know, 8 or 9% or whatever exactly it comes in on, because I have not looked at any numbers exact. It's going to look like, oh my gosh, the budget for ECTS went up 9%. Well, it's 3.5% on the status quo. And then we have this extra of expansion of 3 new programs that's going to be in that budget as well.
And then you're gonna have to take it and divide it by more students, which is Mike's point.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cheap.
May not get cheaper.
May not be cheap,
Yeah, no.
but it won't be.
It won't grow.
be as, I don't think it'll be as
Heavy of a
costly as they think it's going to be. I mean, it's still gonna be an increase because you're sending more kids. You're gonna expend more funds.
Per
But
pupil,
its cost
it
per
could
head
be cheap.
should come down.
Per pupil. Well, maybe.
Maybe, right. The
Not
one
if I get my
other,
way.
there's one other little thing here that I think now's as good a time as any. I'd like to ask permission to do something. Came up out of the meeting here last week. One of the issues that we're bumping up against, and I think you guys can understand, we negotiated the last contract with our teachers. We got a pretty fair contract with them. There's obviously things happening, but what we're bumping up against is some of these fields that we're trying to hire teachers in. To get them to come out of the real world and come into education, they're not doing it. That's why we had some issues. But it was interesting. One of the motions I think that came up was to explore options. I'd like to sit down with you, there was some union representation there. I'd like to sit down with them and just explore, no attorneys, none of these guys from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, but just to talk about that, because it's gonna have to be a two-way street as we talk about that, because it's gonna be a total change of mindset to bring somebody in that's gonna get more than what a normal educator would be. But I think it's something going forward that we're gonna have to explore. I'd like to just have a couple conversations and see, we have a contract.
It's 2 more years, 2 or 3 more years until it's over. So what does this look like? Now is the time to have that contract, if you're going to do a change of process, yeah.
And one of the things we gotta do is study, because I guess there are some CTEs that are doing some of this already.
Yes, and the one that I just was shocked about, because I was like, I've never heard of this in education, is they just kind of approved, hey, these are the ranges to hire each position based on industry standard kind of scenario. And then it's, they just approved like $1,500 or $2,000 raise every single year for every person that's a teacher, like across the board.
Once they get brought in.
So you're
to a certain
hiring a
level.
welding teacher that's coming out of industry, making, maybe it's 60,000 instead of 43, and then, there's not the steps, it's not the education steps, it's just
So it's based on their area of expertise, not.
bingo, their field and
That
their
actually
area.
makes more sense.
And there's like a range, kind of say, hey, low end, high end. It was very, I was like, they've had that for like 8 or 10 years. They did that 8 or 10 years ago. They're close to Pittsburgh, it was Westmoreland, Central Westmoreland.
Yeah.
And they're like, we couldn't get people out of industry. Like, they're not gonna leave a 6-figure industry job and come teach the industry
Exactly, that makes more sense.
and make $45,000. You know what I mean? Like, and that's truly what we're bumping up to with filling positions now. Right now, we're filled, you know what I mean? Thank goodness, with the teaching staff. That could change tomorrow, actually. But,
Mike, when you
We're
talk
gonna get
about
that
efficiencies and things like that, my mind all of a sudden, as you said that, went, yes, but, we've got this potential issue down there where we might have to actually put some more money into some of these programs. So if you're gonna get qualified staff to do that.
But it makes sense, ask anybody around this room, would you quit your day job to go teach and make $20,000 less?
And work with kids?
And work with kids?
I'll give you
They're
a good
gonna-
example.
Even when I was retired.
I'll give you a good example. My 19-year-old welder at the shop, he made 50 grand this year. 19-year-old kid. Now, he probably had 450 hours of overtime, but still, I mean, that's what you're gonna compete against, Plus, he has full benefits.
Somebody has to be in that position for a few years before they even think about teaching.
And he's one of my lowest paid guys,
Right.
at 19,
at 19 years old.
And good,
He
I'm
comes
glad he's a
before he
hustler and
will
taking
get-
the overtime,
So anyways, if nobody has huge objections, I'm gonna explore some.
Corey Votek.
Okay.
My question would be, I'm an existing faculty member, I came from industry 5 years ago.
There's gonna be hurdles there.
And it's like, the new welder is coming in at 60, and I came in at 35, because that was the rule then. And how can you not grandfather me? That's no good deed goes unpunished. They came here and worked hard for bad money, and now you're gonna bring other guys coming in at bigger money. They're gonna sell it. They came from industry also, or some version of it. We're not playing devil's advocate.
No, I
No,
totally understand.
And that is a legit, and that's actually something we've already heard. We've already had the union meet with us about where some of the people started. And, I went to the contract and I said, this is the language in the contract, so.
The issue is,
Like, grieve it and take it to the board, but I'm gonna deny it, and then you can go to the board, but you're not gonna get anywhere. It says it in the contract where you negotiate to start,
for
so.
certain profession, any profession, salary is usually based on how scarce those people are. And there's no scarcity of school teachers that there has been.
No, there is no.
Well,
There's a
there is
couple.
It is driving the market up a little
You're
bit.
starting, right.
I would say that you're based on some in the manufacturing world, based on your cost per pupil when we added these programs, it's not gonna go down, it's gonna go up, because you're gonna have to raise your salaries and benefits up, because those costs are going up. So by adding more kids, your cost is not coming down, it's gonna be going up, because you gotta close that gap, because people are jumping right now from industry to industry, or jobs to jobs, because they've been at a company for 5 years, and they can go to this other company and make $5, $10, $15,
Everybody
$30,000.
needs it.
So your costs are actually gonna go up, not come down. Why I feel in a year or two.
Well, what I would say is, this building costs the same whether there's 500 kids in it or 1,200 kids in it, because it costs the same to turn the power on and the lights on, flush toilets. All the staff that's sitting in this room, they're here the same number of days, no matter how many kids. You're right, there is a part that is a variable fit cost, but there is a set fixed part number to operate this school for 1 kid or 1,200 kids. And that's the part that we need to maximize the economy in. The variable cost is the teacher.
And by doing that, you're gonna have some funds then available to be able to plug in and fill some of these needs.
And just the challenge for your education staff starts coming up. So these people over here who blood, they do bleed, sweat, and make tears to make their operation operate. And you're gonna have people coming in with lots more than they make.
Don't think we're seeing anybody decreasing anytime soon.
It's unlikely.
I agree with you. Anyways, I don't wanna hijack the whole conversation, but that's something I think we'll have some conversations on anyways. Eddie's been trying to say something.
No, it's a question first. Were we talking about adding health assistance program last time?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I-
yes. The nursing program, the health assistant program,
Okay,
yes.
all right, which makes a lot of sense. What does this do to the budget this year? And this next budget, what does adding these two do specifically to the budget?
So-
Because we want to approve this, right?
Yeah,
But we're signing a blank check, if we don't know that.
well, we discussed that at length in our
Right.
December meeting.
Okay.
And like, what is the impact, where are we at with contingency, how are we gonna fund this, and so forth. And so, when I say $240,000, kind of is the budget, that's what we're approving. It's the change order on electric, it's the furniture and so
No,
forth,
I'm talking the
to make cost.
teacher, that addition to the.
Yes,
Adding
And
three.
so-
Maybe we did talk about it, I just don't have it in front of me.
and so roughly our teacher cost is, in general, $100,000 per staff.
Okay.
Right, with salary and benefits, and then each one of those programs with health would double, as we double up, we're gonna double the budget, right? So they have a supply budget, I don't even know what health is, 14,000 or something like that, sticking in my head, I'm guessing, actually.
Yeah, health is like 7,000.
Okay, yeah, so 14 would be with the double.
Yeah, it will be 14.
He was guessing at about 10% increase. That's why he's gonna put the status quo. If we didn't add those, that's what it would be, and then show that.
So about a 10% increase to add the two programs.
Correct, but then of that, you're getting more students, so you're, I don't know where that's, that's a guess. He said he wasn't sure. Jessica, do you know that one?
What was that?
By adding the 3 programs, percentage-wise.
Oh, and that was literally, like, we have not looked at those numbers at all. Basically, what we were looking at is $150,000 per program. Basically, $100,000 for the teacher, $50,000 for all the auxiliary costs that go with that.
Sure.
Between budget, supplies, little things of renovating spaces, get a little bit of extra equipment, that kind of stuff to change places. Is what I was kind of looking at as $150,000 for each program. And then with ramping up 20 students next year, I said it was kind of like a wash. Because we're not gonna go 48 new students into health next year, because then you have a bubble of 48 that are sophomores, that are juniors, that are seniors, and no one else gets in. You ramp up at 20, then 40, then straight to 48, and there's always a little melt of, kids that kind of move out and drop out and whatever, change their mind on the programming. And so with 20 extra students, $8,000 tuition, that's $160,000. So my rough math was saying, we can fill these programs, it'll be kind of a wash of revenue with the cost of $150,000 to revenue of 20 students. It works, put it that way. Then year 2, now we have 20 more, now you got 320,000 with 150,000 of cost. And that's where then the other positions come into play. Maybe there's part of an aid charge to each of those districts. those programs roughly. Maybe there's actually, we're probably gonna be a secretary a year from now, coming with a secretary position. As we expand and more things happen and of course, as I get more and more grants that have to be executed, managed and so forth, like the TANF grant, we just met with Workforce Development Board today. And that TANF grant, we're going to apply for next year to basically, support our students getting the Cosmo kits and the welding and all the different supplies that TANF will pay for. But we have to manage that on our end. Someone's got to do all that paperwork, collection, data entry, and manage that. And so right now, we've added extra hours to our secretarial staff to manage some things, especially with being short on a business office secretary. But we're probably looking at a secretarial position, down the road a year, maybe 6 months to a year.
Because what I'm hearing here is we've got a lot of kids on the waiting list, and we can easily expand a couple programs beyond what you have here. I'm also hearing that there's not a disinterest from this group, right, in doing that. And maybe not all of the superintendents were on the same page. Is that a fair?
They were on the same page.
Okay.
But they wanted to be thoughtful of expansion and not just go 5 new programs 1 year and ramp it up a little bit slower. They weren't ready to agree on what is that next program that goes in that next phase. Is it veterinary science? Is it HVAC? Is it heavy equipment? There's a lot of options and we just weren't there on agreement there. And then we're expanding health, we're expanding Cosmo. I only agreed to Cosmo if I got health too, because I'm saying the market, the industry is screaming for health.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be turning 50 kids away from health. And so, and it was one of the ones that was kind of a less of a lift in terms of lab space. Health lab is not the same as a manufacturing lab, a welding lab.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Coach cost of equipment and all that good stuff. So we thought we could make that happen. And we had ideas on how to make that happen.
So other than construction, what's next?
Manufacturing, welding.
Welding?
But in order to do welding, I gotta build a building. I gotta do something infrastructure.
Without building, what to fill a space?
Oh, what's next on the space?
There's another space for something new. But
And that space is not set up for welding.
That's not set up for welding.
No, welding, second welding could not go in that space.
Right.
It's too
So
much
what
infrastructure.
would be our next?
So we looked at, and we go back to that presentation that we gave in September, we had a kind of a list there, and there was veterinary science. We have no agricultural programs here at tech school, so do the veterinary science one, which there's some positive and negative on that, right? We don't have an agriculture program, it's a female-based program, more likely, but it's vet assistant isn't one that's bringing in a lot of money in the field, right? So that one, we talked about HVAC, plumbing, those are a couple programs that, people are screaming for help with heavy equipment. Another program that's maybe potentially down the road. We also talked about that mechatronics side of things, right? So previous director was really on mechatronics, wanted to see mechatronics happen. I believe there is a definite opportunity for robotics and automation in some way. I don't know if it's quite with the same vision, but right now I actually had a meeting scheduled with the bureau, the new bureau director down in PDE, Judd Pittman, who he and I serve on the PA Rural Robotics Board together, that does the PA Rural Robotics Initiative that we started out of Venango County, that's up here as well, about a drone aeronautics program with the flight and the drones and all that good stuff.
That's what Joe was talking about, basically.
Yeah, that one is on the radar. I wanted to be the pilot.
What would be
the one that
most
or
cost?
the pilot
What would
of
be the
that
most
program.
cost-effective program to put into the space?
Oh gosh, I have no idea off the top of my head right now. We're gonna have to do some research and so forth. Veterinary science, we as an admin staff were saying to me that we thought that would be a good fit. It's that second lab, it's outside. They got outside space we could fence in for that veterinary science thing. And, agriculture is the #1 industry in PA. right? And it wouldn't be it'd be an agricultural program, but it wouldn't be competing with Northwestern and their farming agriculture program. It'd be, right? What's that?
Northwestern and Union City.
And Union City, yeah. Now, Northwestern definitely doesn't want us going into the agricultural route. Union City actually was kind of exploring, I don't know where your program sits moving forward. It's one of those ones that potentially I heard, maybe I'm wrong, could be maybe not there in a couple of years.
It's up and down.
Yes, so, you know, one thought is it'd be great for the tech school to open an ag program on, some people believe that, they don't have it anymore, therefore the Buffy don't have it anymore. So he thinks it'd be great for, you know, he thinks it'd be great for the tech school to have an ag program.
Yeah, we actually send students to UNC forever.
And Northeast sends students to Northwestern, that's not.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so there was great discussions, and we all were,
I guess what I'm saying is, I'd really like us to take it back to our teams of 10 and bounce it around some more, you know, and have that discussion with our teams, with the superintendents.
that's a great discussion to have.
To me, I mean, it seems like there's need there.
There's an open space.
There's open space,
What
there's
do you
need
guys think
there,
it should be?
you know, so it's like, to your point, do we wanna leave that opportunity?
If you,
I struggle with that.
back to construction trades, if you do construction trades in 3 years, that's 3 years of kids who didn't get it while they waited.
Right.
Well, but
Oh, I wanna do it, yes,
you forgot to tell about construction trades and facility maintenance. Facility maintenance only has 3 people. In construction trade, they're very similar courses here. And our advisors mentioned that some of the students that could not get into the construction trade had an opportunity to go to the facility maintenance, and we only have 3 people waiting on that one. So there's more opportunities for that other class. That's another option. And that facility maintenance is plumbing, work, everything too.
Yeah.
So that's, there really is, if we can add those together, we do have waiting for, but we only have half as much waiting people for that.
facility maintenance is full, the wait list would be 3.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm saying 3, but I'm saying it's like.
So he's looking at the numbers from the CLNA, which we presented the Act 126 numbers we presented at last meeting. Yes, I mean, it's good problems to have, it's great discussions to have,
If you look at.
and narrowing down, like, which direction do we go, is an interesting
The
conversation.
biggest thing that concerns me is we're going with 3 new next year.
Mhm.
You know, how much of a headache, or, you know, is that gonna be on you and your staff here, getting 3 new programs going, and now all of a sudden, we're talking, we wanna add a 4th or a 5th? I just think it almost sounds like overwhelming to start so much all at once.
I don't think you have time now. I understand, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that,
Maybe next year,
yeah,
but
I
to
just,
do it this coming year.
and do it right.
Right.
So our goal was to make this decision, that's why we had to, we really pushed to make this decision by tonight, because we took all those, and we're making decisions on who goes in what programs, literally in the next 2 weeks, and we're gonna give enrollment letters.
Would you tell the students what programs they're going to do to, yes, or what programs there are?
Exactly, we didn't wanna make the decision in February, March, or April, because then that just, now we're opening a program, let's roll into it, and then we pull from other programs and the whole data sort of waitlisting trickle down effect.
And scheduling is
becomes a
happening
mess.
now.
Yeah, so we wanted it to happen now, and we are ready, our team is ready. Like, we've talked about it with all Cosmo 2, Health 2, and EP, Emergency Protective Services, we're ready there.
I'm guessing not many directors have a position where they said, okay, we've got 2 more labs over here, what do we put in there?
Yes.
But by September, we need to know, are we adding another lab next year? And we need to know construction trade, because October, you're gonna have people visiting, I mean,
Yes.
this is about as late as we can go.
Construction trades is the only one, we already have a program, we don't have to do all the stuff to make a new program, and that's why we said health. It was pretty much,
Yeah.
Easier lift, because we have a program, it's just hiring a second teacher and enrolling students. And then, you know, some of the infrastructure of equipment and time and scheduling and that kind of stuff.
I think that one should be a no-brainer for what's up next.
That's on the agenda for tonight. The
Construction trades is not.
Cosmetology
Yeah,
is
that's what I meant,
the only
Yes.
thing on the
for what's up next.
So what I was looking for is, okay, here's our plan for this year, which we're in agreement, superintendents and so forth on. And then next year, to me, it's fill that second space, because I think it's, you're absolutely right, we've invested in this building, Mike, and we don't wanna leave that space not being used and filled. And then construction trades, right? And then manufacturing, the welding, that's on us with the grant funding and working with industry to how do we make that extra space and build another scenario that can take more of their equipment. That's where we're
And
at.
for the last 15 years, we really haven't added, I mean, we've tweaked some things, right, Sandy?
Sports therapy in this program.
Correct, but that was recent, and that was one. I mean, we're going in uncharted territory here, basically, with addition of three. I mean, two aren't new, but one is. In addition to that, so even some of the, you know, questions Denny asked about the budget, I think this gives us a blueprint now, this year, how do we do before we start then, that gives us a second year, we're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna have the ramp up of these and the addition of possibly two more the year after. So, again, I like to hurry, but sometimes we.
It's as though the whole tenor of the place is changing.
Absolutely.
It's always kind of worked on comfort, and now we're gonna go.
You're going from attendance of less than 700
Right.
to by next year, we should be over 1,000.
But I mean, you're
We're already
talking
close
Close
to
to
it.
950.
of adding $750,000 to the budget over a 2-year period. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So one other thing that's really good is the forethought of previous administration here and you guys at the JOC. You guys have put annually into the budget $250,000 as a set aside in the budget for program expansion. So when we talk about this EPS this year, and then next year, whatever that program may or may not come to fruition, there already is money set aside in this current year budget and next year's budget. We're gonna keep it, I'm hoping, if I can, to do that, right? To hire the staff early, to buy all the equipment and supplies, to get the space figured out, to support that task grid and that curriculum with funding that's gonna back that program, not starting with nothing, right?
Right.
It's there, we got furniture, we got equipment, we got stuff to buy. Now, it may not do a heavy equipment scenario, because that's a whole nother ballgame of cost. But, you know, we have good opportunities here. And then back to Rick's point, the state and the legislature are supporting career and tech ed. So those grants, these guys will tell you, I'm not sitting still on grants. I've applied for grant after grant after grant after grant. Like, we have applied, it's not just me. I'm the one that's full of a lot of hot air that can write these things, but the data comes from Sandy to make the grant work. And we're gonna start seeing that come in. We already applied for a grant we've never applied before, and we're gonna get it. I'm confident we're gonna get the competitive equipment grant. We already got the supplemental equipment grant. We got a second bonus of the supplemental equipment grant coming. It's an extra $80,000 that we didn't even think we were gonna get. So we got the agricultural grant. We are applying for the Healthy High Mark High Five grant. We're applying for the school safety and security grant. Like, stuff that we're not gonna leave money. I'm gonna do the TANF grant. I'm a guy that's competitive, and I'm gonna do everything in my power not to leave money out there on the table that would benefit our students, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's keep moving.
All right.
7 o'clock's not gonna happen, Del, sorry.
Yeah, you're not gonna, so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You got the industrial appraisal agreement on there. That's a really important thing that we haven't done. We haven't had them on site since 2011. And we're out of compliance with Perkins and some things with that. With the renovation, they were kind of waiting to come until after our renovation because there's a lot to appraise. we do yearly updates of what we buy and everything. They have every invoice and stuff like that. So they have an updated inventory, but they just haven't been on site to see everything in action. So that's that one. We got a donation of another car. Or thank you Dan Pierce for donating a 2005 Subaru to our auto tech and auto body programs. And then it's kind of normal business stuff on down through. So we'll jump to my report, and I'll be quick, I promise. Liar. Thank you. I'm glad someone caught that sarcasm. Yes, it's not pulling up. So you can scroll down. We've already covered the expansion. Our Occupational Advisory Committee meetings, Emergency Protective Services, first ever one will be tomorrow morning. We're having a breakfast meeting. And then we'll do another one in May once we get an instructor and hired for Emergency Protective Services. For the rest of them, we moved it up a month. We're going February 15th as a dinner meeting, for our OAC meetings this year. We will have multiple seatings of dinner, and we will have a State of the Union kind of address at each one of those seatings, 5 o'clock, 5:45, and 6:30. Do I got that right, Julie? Yeah. Where I'll just give a little 5-minute State of the Union and cover some of this great things that we're talking about with getting grants and enrollment going up and the positive trends. We had our Perkins Review Compliance Monitoring audit there the week before last. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Gene Cleary was here from the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. You can see our accommodations. Our team did a great job with data collection and our files and our media and communication. All that was good. Doesn't mean you can't improve on some things, especially with the social media website, but we met what they require in terms of Perkins. They gave us a list of recommendations if you scroll down a little bit. And then there's some corrective actions. If you take a look at those corrective actions, we're going to be talking with each one of your districts. Several of them were just in the way wording happens and so forth. With a couple senior transcripts that didn't have the industry credentials on it from the districts that we got to, that's a new requirement, got to have it going. And then like the SOAR information being in course description at the member districts and links on the website and stuff like that to make sure they have the most updated stuff. So we'll be working with your districts on that. Go back up to the top, sorry. Articulation agreement, some of the post-secondary we don't get response for, so we're missing a couple of signatures on renewal stuff. And then dual enrollment. We don't have any dual enrollment agreements, but yet we host dual enrollment classes on our campus a couple mornings a week over there at the Skill Center. That is the RCI program that the IU runs. Our kids are involved in it, but our kids are listed as your kid, so they're in that under you. So that'll be addressed because I talked to Brad Whitman and I requested that we just list ECTS on that agreement. That's the RCI agreement, and we check that box. So that one's already corrected and addressed, just so you're aware.
My granddaughter's works very, very well.
She comes a couple days a week and takes a couple classes. Yeah, it's a great program. It is. Keep going now. We're good. And then some IEP language. The big one is it's no longer allowed to be called vocational in the Perkins stuff and IEPs and wording. It's career and technical education. So go ahead and keep going. We did our CLNA. We talked about that. Lots of data. Basically a few recommendations. Moving forward, we're expanding health assistant, expanding Cosmo, and expanding manufacturing programs and so forth, and a few other things that we're still collecting data on. Scroll down, there's a little update on the grants. The supplemental grant was awarded. We just found out we're going to get an extra $80,000 out of that, so that's good news. An extra on top of the $88,600 that we got. PA Agriculture Youth Grant to build greenhouses, and then the competitive equipment grant we don't have a word on yet whether we got that one. Keep on going down. Highlight a couple students that have been doing well. I reach out to a couple teachers each month and say, hey, let's highlight a couple students because that's what it's really all about. You saw Isaac tonight. It's great that he's on there and he presented tonight. So good stuff. You can keep going. And then renovation report. Bullet number 2, construction lab, did not address the air ventilation for masonry area, and that's one of the things that we're going back and forth on. It was existing to remain in the plans. We don't have a change order on that. I wasn't ready with the numbers that I was gotten, the proposals I was gotten from the engineers. that one's a coin toss on what we do. There's a change order, basically, one change order would be $140,000 to actually dress that and get a real ventilation system in there. One change order is a triage at like $50,000. And then they planned it for existing to remain. So you know what? I may just leave it as existing to remain. They already demoed some of the stuff that's part of that. Previous was just like an exhaust system with an on and off button. And make the contractors put it back in because they weren't supposed to demo it to begin with. Just so you're aware that that's been a little bit of a thorn in the side. And then, you know, we talked about some of those other things. We are going to do a celebration of our space in August, just so you know, kind of a kickoff. And we're waiting till August because lockers aren't paid until the summer and landscaping, stuff like that. So with the new school year, we're planning on doing kind of some kind of celebration, maybe a multi-day event, something. I'm looking at maybe hosting like a chamber event here, stuff like that, because people are interested and I want to maximize this positive momentum moving forward. So the new wing is the right side. We're looking to move in. We're hoping to kind of open classes over there, 2-7 and 2-14 for one side and the other side of the building. We just moved that back a little bit. I think we're still on 212 and 219 as of this morning. It just keeps getting moved back. But yes, so that's renovation. That's it for my report. Any questions? Awesome. All right. With that, anybody want to take a break, use the restroom? We'll start the meeting.
Any executive, it's on here for personnel, do we need it or not?
Yes, we do need an update on the confidential secretary. Yes. Right. Is there anything else in executive?
Is it okay to use the term VOTEC?
No, that's illegal.
It's not career
Dr.
technical
Wise, come on.
CTE.
Now, why is that illegal?
That's what the lady from Perkins said.
Illegal?
It's
On official paperwork, it is.
on legal documents like IEPs, you're not supposed to say that anymore.
That's why I said if the attorney sends us
Yeah.
a bill and it says vote tech on it, I'm not paying it.
Not
I
paying
love
it.
this humor. It's like taking the tag off a mattress. We're gonna go next door for the executive session real quick.
Folks, there's 2 more bags of cannolis that need to go home. There's 1 bag of cannolis that need to go home.
If nobody's exempt.
I need
I
some
got kids.
I need breakfast.
There you go. My kids even older. They don't have kids. Oh my God.
Hey,
Better point. You're on the up in the morning, drink coffee as long as you want.
A lot of grief here.
So your real school board appreciation gifts for your service is actually these little bags.
Oh, that's
All right, so that was what the school got. I like to have the students make stuff, so,
I love those.
you know, you got both. So don't forget to take one of
So
these
these are
bags.
really for us to take, huh?
When you leave,
Yes.
Jess reminded me, hey, give them the real gift. But I think that's awesome.
I like it.
I love it.
My daughter loves
That's
that.
like legitimately, this is gonna be like one of my favorite things.
That's awesome.
Well, don't forget to claim it on your ethics form.
Finally say I gave my wife the flowers.
And Valentine's Day is 2 weeks away,
Listen, you guys are all ahead of the curve now because one of the only times men get flowers in their entire life is when they're in the casket. That's not even, that's a true story.
We should.
Something to look forward to.
That's what I look forward to.
She says every night.
You get roses when you're dead.
All right, on that note, let's call this meeting to order.
That's a little too much information.
Let's have a moment of reflection. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. McManus. Mr. Fortin.
Present.
Dr. Wise.
Present.
Ms. Rosanna.
President.
Ms. Frank.
Here.
Mr. Koblenz.
Present.
Mr. Lindner.
Present.
Mr. Boyd.
Here.
Mr. Rain.
Here.
Mr. Gilbert.
Here.
Mr. Morvay.
And announce we had an executive session just before calling this meeting to order for personnel. Amendments, can't do much with them, so nobody has any, right?
Right.
Meeting minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, corrections? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Student accomplishment highlights, had that, students of the month, we got all that covered, right?
Yep.
Guest and public comment, anybody like to address the board?
Crickets.
Important items coming to ECTS? Anything under that?
We didn't. We talked about that in my report, the OAC meetings coming up and so forth. And we actually are having a student pep rally on mid-year celebration on Monday. Yep.
Awesome. In here?
In here,
Cool.
8:15 and 12:15, we're gonna highlight students' months, we're gonna Skills USA, what else am I missing?
NTHS, perfect attendance, the Winter Wanderings event we had before the holidays. We're gonna welcome our therapy dog and kick off CTE month.
There we go.
Yes.
And Mr. Karastovis will be here for the afternoon session, we're gonna celebrate him and
Oh, wonderful.
wish him well and glad he's coming in for the afternoon session. So
That's good.
it's neat that he's coming in.
Tell me said hi.
We'll do that.
Very good, takes the operations, new business, we've got A, B, C, D, E, F. So G is the approval of all of those.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded, any discussion on any of those? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Then we've got financial items, business managers report.
Okay. So for the record, as of December 31st, 2023, the general fund balance is $3,552,169.30. Capital Projects has $4,345,825.29. Student Activities is at $12,890.91, and the benefits accounts have $19,503.86. We have received 53% of our revenue and expensed 42%.
I have a question just from our earlier conversation, but how do we, on the district's contribution towards students, do you build that? How is that billed? You just said we have 53 in, so do you do that evenly? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly?
Yes, they get, at the beginning of the fiscal year, they get all 12 invoices because they want them all, and then they just pay monthly. I divide that by 12 and they just pay a monthly payment.
If somebody wants to do it different, they can because they've got the invoice.
Right, yeah, they have all the 12 invoices since July 1st.
Very good.
No,
That's how all the districts
They
do it?
don't know.
All the districts have, that's how they do
Yes,
it.
all of them, yeah.
Interesting. And just as it goes up, I was curious if there's some flexibility, but sounds like it, if they've got their invoices, they can pay them. Okay. Treasurer's report, anything further?
No, nothing, whatever.
Got all the financial reports there. Visa card. G is the approval of everything in the financial section.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded, any discussion?
Just one question, Jessica. With all of the interest rates being higher, have you been able, just for the record, been able to communicate with the financial institutions to make sure that we're getting the highest interest rate we can, or we've got a simple product that's the best interest rates? I'm assuming so.
I haven't directly contacted them. I know I did that when I had all the money for the capital projects for
Sure.
renovation.
Yeah.
So we were putting it like in T-bills,
Yeah.
but I haven't invested any more of that money because I don't know how the invoices are coming now since they're towards the end of the renovation. So, but I haven't talked to them to see if there's anything more.
I would just
We
suggest
put that
maybe
money in
if you get a few minutes and you call, there's a lot of opportunity out there right now.
Okay.
Okay.
It seems to be all short term, or that's where you're, but that's what we would want.
There's some sweet programs out there, and the sweet program, you can have it, you have access to it just like a checking account, but you're getting 4.5% on it. You know, so, I mean, that's, you know, if you can earn 4.5% on $3 million that's sitting there, that adds up quickly.
Yeah, it does.
So.
Good, any other questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Administrative Services and Human Resources.
Welcome, Ms. Dempsey, our new confidential secretary.
Welcome.
Is that the end of your report?
We already talked about everything else, yeah, there's nothing
All
else.
right. We got
So
some
moved.
hiring. Hiring and subs, I gotta see what number, letter it is, right?
Yeah.
F. So you moved it,
Yep. Second.
and there's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ring. I do want to, although a lot of my commentary was on the front end of our agenda, I do want to reiterate this is truly some exciting times for us here at the technical school, and I know our superintendents are really excited and working with Mr. Laverty and his leadership, and some really great things are on the horizon here. It's really a great time to be a part of these programs here, so. I look forward to continuing our work together. So, what's that?
We went faster, we went.
Yes, and interestingly, I think the next thing you know, we'll be approving these programs, and it'll just happen quickly. It'll all be good for our kids, for sure, and all of us financially, which is the important. Thank you, Mr. Ray.
And director's report, anyone?
Nothing more to add.
Solicitor's report.
Just two items. We did review those contracts as we discussed earlier. Mark Wassel actually did that, as opposed to me. Also sent a letter to Mr. Laverty on January 4th with the new bidding thresholds, purchasing contracts below 26 or 12,006, no quotes or bids. purchases between 12,600 and 23,199, 3 telephonic quotes. Purchases and contracts over 23,200 requires formal bidding. So it's just the new guidelines for this year. That changes every year. Department of Labor and Industry said that. So that's all I have.
Principals.
We've covered most things already. Earlier this month, we sent a large population of our students to the District Skills USA competition. It's the largest number we've sent in a very, very long time. They did quite well, and although I would love to share with you the results, they aren't finding out until Monday, so I need to have you wait as well. But I will tell you that Mike Miller is taking donations because we've got a healthy population going to the state competition in Hershey. So we had good results at districts.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Very good, thank you. I'm perusing the rest of the agenda to see if there's anything else we need to move on. You guys know of anything? Missing anything?
Just the adjournment.
Making sure. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second or second, all right, let's be done.
And you had 7 minutes to spare, you did a good job.
See, thanks. I knew you were breathing down the neck.
And we had a good, healthy conversation.
Exactly.
That's right.
Lively debate is always fun.
Well, I think when they did.